Welcome, everybody, to another fantastic episode of Super Shares powered by Q. My name is Joe Marquez, the Director of Academic Innovation for Q. Today's Super Shares is extremely special. We are doing episode 2 of SpacED. Right? Show us your educational spaces. I mean, throughout this entire working from home situation, we have educators who are turning their, like Ben Cogswell last week, he turned his bathroom closet into his workspace. We've seen people turn their living room into their workspaces, their kids' room into their workspaces. So many different amazing things educators are doing. And by seeing their example, we can really amplify how we're setting our spaces aside in the coming months. I want to introduce our really special co-host today, one of my really good friends, Kyle Anderson. Kyle, welcome to SpacED.
What's going on, everyone?
Oh man, I'm so excited that you are here because we do a podcast together, right? The Sons of Technology podcast, available wherever you're listening to your podcast. And one of the episodes we had was on educator spaces. And that's actually where I came up with the idea of having super shares on spaces, because we had a lot of ideas flowing at that point, and other educators were chiming in about what they were doing. Like, wouldn't it be great to turn all this talk into a visual? Let's see what other educators are doing, and how they're working and where they're working from. Like Kyle, yourself, you're working in a brand new school district this year. How are you working in a space? Are you working on campus? Are you working from home? Do you have an office? Do you have a classroom? What's going on with your space?
Well, I am 100% distance for right now. So the district where I'm at in Las Vegas, Nevada, I worked for them for 13 years, and then I moved away and I was living up in Northern Nevada, working the Carson City School District for a couple of years. And then in the middle of a pandemic, we decided to move back. So always fun trying to find a new place when you can't actually physically go see it. So we lucked out by getting a video tour of it. But we are 100% virtual where I am at in Las Vegas right now. And I have the option. I can go and work from school if I want to, but frankly, I just, between being paranoid of the world right now, and then the fact that I don't have to drive 25 minutes each way to work, I am working from home. So I have a nice little setup. I got my bedroom where I got a little space cornered off where I've got a desk. I've got my laptop connected to a second monitor that's up on a nice little shelving riser where I can see at eye level. So like right now, if you're watching, you can see like I'm at eye level with my monitor I'm looking at right now. And then if I absolutely need it, I've got an iPad, I've got a Chromebook that's here. Obviously, I've got my phone. I've got this beautiful Yeti blue microphone right here that I work with. And then I've also got a green screen behind me where right now it appears that I'm sitting in the office with Stanley.
Yeah, I see Stanley right back there.
Yep, Stanley's back there doing his crossword puzzle. But I can change that up to a bunch of different things if I want to. So maybe I want to be out in Lake Tahoe, sitting on the beach a little bit, or maybe I want to plug our podcast a little bit. Okay, the podcast by Sons of Technology, once again, available on all of the podcast apps. I could talk a little bit about my other podcast. Oh, I didn't turn my camera on that one. Whoops. So, or really missing live sports right now. So one of my favorite places on earth, Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan, home of the Detroit Tigers. So I could go all sorts of different places. Big hockey fan. Okay. My blog, I could do all sorts of stuff with images. So I have a lot of fun with that when I'm working from this space here. So go ahead.
I was going to say that's pretty amazing because, when we're seeing educators showcase their spaces, we're seeing their physical spaces, but you're showing us right now how you can manipulate your digital space and put yourself with just a few clicks in different places at different times.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find it's a conversation starter when I jump onto Google Meet with my students, where when I come in, there's usually a couple students already there because my co-teacher is there ahead of me usually and opens up the Google Meet. So when I get in there, usually a student or two say, "Hey, Anderson, I really like that background you got today." So when I rolled in at Lake Tahoe this morning, I had my coffee. I'm just like, yep, just enjoying that sunrise over Lake Tahoe right now. And and then on top of that, then I also go into dad joke mode as class is getting started. I got the app on my phone where I'm telling some of the ridiculous dad jokes too. So No, it's all about trying to have a little bit of fun with your space as well, not just the physical space, but that virtual space as well.
Yeah, no, and I love it. And maybe a little bit later you can talk to the group about OBS and how you're doing that. And we can also bring up another simpler way of doing it also.
We can do that.
And everybody, we're going to be looking at two fantastic educators, Danessa and Jacob, who are going to show off their spaces. And you may be wondering, how did they show off their space? How are you getting these videos? We have a Flipgrid. You can see it right down here at the bottom. If you go to flipgrid.com/QInc, there's two things on there. There's one that says tip of the day, but then the next one is space. Show us your space. We want to see your space. We want to feature you on this show. We want to show off what you are doing and what products you're using on a daily basis to make your space worthwhile for you and your students. But Kyle, what do you think? Should we go ahead and show off Jacob's space right now?
Yeah, let's take a look. Let's see what Jacob has to show us.
All right, everybody. This is Jacob Carr coming at you. He's going to show off his space. Now, if you want to get a hold of Jacob, I'm going to go ahead and put his information right there on the bottom. All right, here we go.
Hey, everybody. It's Jacob Carr here at Mr. Carr on the web. And I thought I'd share with you what my space looks like. So a little background. I am currently a high school teacher at an independent study high school. My wife is also a teacher, and we have 3 children that are going to school. So you can imagine that space becomes really important to us as teachers and as people. So I've got a couple of different places that I'm working, and I'll show them to you now. So this is the first place, the place where I do most of my work. It's my classroom. It's the desk in my classroom. And students are not coming, they're totally distanced, but you'll see that I've set it up with a couple of key components. I've got some plants because they make me feel better about the world. I've got my chalkboard drawing where I kind of express myself creatively. And then, the nuts and bolts. So I definitely utilize my iPad. I love to use Explain Everything. It's great for chiming in with a Zoom session. You see there the California mask. I'm up in Northern California in Butte County where fire is a way of summer now, apparently. I love dual screening. I feel like a gamer when I do it, but really it is, I don't know how I would teach through just a small 14-inch monitor. Like that would be tiny. So the top one is where I like to put all of the students' faces so I can look up and see them. And then I like to put my slide deck or whatever it is that I'm doing down on my laptop. To the side, the normal accoutrement of a teacher's desk, but this Blue Yeti microphone really helps. Sometimes I use my AirPod Pros, and sometimes I like to not have those in. What I do want to do is add a webcam. I think that will help a lot. All right. So when I'm not actually teaching students, but I'm doing my planning or my grading or like all of those other things, the other place I like to do is not sit, right? Like sitting is the new smoking. So I've set up this station. I'm on it right now, but I'm gonna pan out. You can see that I've put my laptop up onto some blocks, but most importantly, I could not live without my balance board. So I stand on that thing and it regulates me, engages my core, but mostly it's just really calming. Lastly, I couldn't forget my own kids because they come to school with me. I am blessed to have a beautiful classroom in a beautiful brand new campus with really supportive administrators that allow me to bring my students into my classroom, or my children into my classroom to contain them. I have 2 high school age students and they come with me to school, and my wife goes into her classroom with our 4th grader. And they like to work in 2 primary locations. Of course, like a nice high top cafe table, but the bean bag, that's where most of their learning happens. I hope that's helpful. I hope it's great.
Whoa. Okay. So the beanbag is one of my favorites. I mean, if I could, all my furniture would be beanbags, but then it'd look like a college dorm room. So I kind of don't do that. But Kyle, what do you think about Jacob's space? It looks pretty neat. He's got multiple options, multiple screens. Looks really nice.
Well, first of all, I need to comment on the chalkboard drawing. Did he actually draw that chalkboard drawing? When I saw that, you probably saw my eyes just go like that, because if he actually drew that, I mean, he could be making tons of money off of just his drawings alone. So,
well, who needs a green screen when he could just put that chalkboard drawing behind him, right?
Right. So he could just put that up behind his camera at that point. So, and going back a little bit too, Jacob and I actually, we've never met, but we had intended to meet back before COVID started. We had arranged where I was living in Reno. He lives in Butte County, Northern California, and my parents live near there. So I'm like, hey, let's go get lunch or something like that and like hang out or whatever. He goes, yeah, it sounds like a great idea. Well, then the weekend that COVID hit was the weekend we were supposed to hang out, and we're both like, you know what? Let's put this off a little bit. So Jacob and I have not met in person yet, but it's going to happen, Mr. Carr. We will make that happen. So now for his space itself, I found it kind of interesting how he had the second monitor set up, where I've always done the second monitor as like a left-right kind of setup. He had his as like an up-down kind of setup. And now that I'm looking at that, I'm almost wondering if I want to try to at least try it. Because I do feel like I've got my work on one screen and then my camera's on my other screen over here. So if I'm working, like I'm doing this, so the students are basically seeing the side of my face when I'm working sometimes. So I might give that a shot, Mr. Carr. That was kind of cool. What did you see, Joe?
Well, number one, I think this show should be sponsored by Yeti, right? By Blue microphones, because every single educator we've showcased so far has a Blue microphone. I mean, Kyle, you have one. You showed yours. I have mine right here. So, Blue, if you're listening, we love your microphones. If you got anything new coming out, we'll definitely test drive them for you.
I had a Snowball and I also have a Nano, so I am invested.
I loved his balance beam, the little balance board that he had for his little standing desk. It actually, my first thought was, I bet Jacob, every time there was like a team building event, they must have busted out the American Gladiators, those big soft swords, and try to knock you off the podium.
Pugil sticks.
And I imagine he's just going, yeah, I'm on my balance board all day. You're not going to knock me. So I was picturing him doing that. So that was pretty funny. But I did like that he had his normal computer, and then he had the monitor right up at the top. And then he had his iPad off to the side as an auxiliary to be utilizing, which was really, really nice. He did mention, though, that he wanted to get a dock cam. Just be aware, when you are working with your dock cam, you want something that's multi-purpose. So I have a what is this called? A Solo 8, a hover cam Solo 8, which can double as a dock cam and a document camera. So, Jake, if you're looking for a camera, look for something that's multi-purpose. I've seen a lot of people use their DSLR cameras and hook them right in, and that's their camera. So definitely look into that. I wonder if it looks like he has pretty good lighting in there also. Like my room here is really dark, and so I have to have a light ring. And if I turn my light ring off, it gets really dark in here. So, and that's another thing. If you don't have really good lights, definitely find some good lighting, to make your smile really pop.
Yeah. Well, and talking about the dock cams too, you could actually get just a standard webcam. I have one that's on a stand, but then you can bend the base and twist it in all sorts of different ways to where normally you could just have it sitting straight up to do the camera for yourself. But you could, if you have one of those ones that has the flexible like neck for the base of the camera, you can use that as well and just kind of bend it where you need it to adjust, and then you can do different things as well. And I know you can get those for as little as $20, I believe. So there's a lot of different options when it comes to that kind of stuff.
And remember, we talked about this little hack last time. If you have one of those old Osmos lying around, right, those old things that will go on your iPad, you put it right over your thing, and it turns itself into a document camera also. So yeah, utilize what you have. Don't go out spending a whole bunch of money to get up your space. Now we're gonna show Danessa's space here in a minute, and I think you're gonna really salivate over her screen that she has. But before that, of course, we definitely have to talk about Fall Q, because Fall Q is coming up here in a few short weeks, October 22nd to the 26th. Kyle, I know you're going to be at the Meet the Podcasters and the Meet the Authors, and you're going to be presenting some Google some Google sessions also. So a lot of great things coming up. So if you are not part of if you have not signed up for Fall Q and you're thinking about it, that would be a really good. Excellent. I'm just really excited about Fall Q. We're using a new system where after the live presentation is over, immediately it turns into an on-demand video. So if you're trying to go to all these different sessions, no worry, because if there's a session going on, there's two that you want to go to one live and then go to the other one at any other time, and you can watch that other one as well. And one more thing before we move on to Danessa's, if you are going to be part of Fall Q, don't forget about the esports tournament. The esports tournament is going on and going off. It's going to be fantastic. All you need is a Nintendo Switch, a Nintendo Online account, and the Ultimate Smash Brothers cartridge, and you can join our account. You could join our game. And I have been practicing. Because I am going to take the top spot. All you gamers out there, you have to topple me to win that ultimate prize. So make sure you get out there and make sure you're signing up if you are a gamer. All right. Now, Kyle, I'm really excited about this next one. Number one, Danessa is a fabulous educator, and she has just the energy to back it up. And you're going to see her I didn't think there was anybody who can get more exuberant than Joe Marquez, but Danessa really, really amps it up right here. And I want you to see if you can find that blue microphone, because it's turning into a game of Where's Waldo, but where's the blue microphone at? Because everybody's got one. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and show Danessa's space.
Hey guys, it's Danessa Menji here, and I want to show you my space at home. So here we go. This is where I work if I am home working. It's my husband's desk, as you can see, but I have this lovely, amazing, giant screen. Woo-hoo! I have the Bose speakers, which I can control right here. I usually have my blue mic right there and a fan because it is extremely hot by this desk. So I will add on and show you my at work desk. Okay, so we're in my classroom today, so I'm going to show you my office, which is insane, right? I teach English and robotics. This is my classroom, and then I have my own office, you guys. I am so lucky to have this. I think every teacher should have an office. I can close it. I have a window, so if I have to take a phone call, I have a window to my classroom so I can see what kids are doing. Not that I'm in here very often. So this is my workstation. It's a complete disaster right now because we're teaching and all that stuff, and kids are getting logged on right now. But I have here's the blue microphone, which I use at home too. I have, of course, pictures of my kids, my phone, my hot mess of a desk, my lesson plans, my printer, and of course, the most important thing is coffee, all the cups. But yeah, so my own little office right here, my window, the outside. I apologize for the mess, but it is what it is. So that's my edu space, y'all, and I appreciate given the opportunity to share it. I appreciate Q and all of you, and have a great day.
Okay, Kyle. Let it out. Tell me what you're going to say, because I know exactly what you're going to say.
That monitor, you know what? No judgment whatsoever. I'm almost to the point that might be too much monitor. That was insane.
Yeah, I mean, looking from one side to the next, I loved it. I mean, I thought that was pretty amazing. I mean, because I have 3 monitors right now, and her one monitor would solve that.
Right?
It's just amazing. I mean, I was salivating over that when I first saw it. I'm like, that is a beast of a monitor. Where did you get it? That was pretty neat.
Yeah, that was impressive. And then of course our little game of where's blue microphone, not once but twice, two different locations. Maybe it was the same mic, but still. So it was in two different locations. And then having a classroom and an office space, nice. Yeah, I've had classrooms in my day. I've had offices in my day. I've never had both. I would love to have both.
Well, when I was watching that, I was, oh, how awesome is that? But then I realized, putting the teacher hat on, you're probably never in there. You're probably never in that office. You're out there with the kids, right? You know, you're probably only in there occasionally. But it's just, I love that she had that mirror, or not mirror, but the window to see out to her kids, because she does have to jump in there to take a phone call. She can still monitor the class and everything. So that was really neat. My question was this: does it come with your own personal bathroom? Right? I mean, you have, a office is great, but if you have your own personal bathroom, I mean, that's checking all the boxes. Like, where do I sign up to get a classroom like that?
Right. You'd never have to leave. You can just throw one of those like foldable military cots in there too. You can just sleep there too, because I'm sure I didn't see a fridge, but there may have been a fridge in there somewhere. She definitely had the coffee maker, which is very, very important. So I've always had a coffee maker in my offices at school. So that was that was about as close to a dream office scenario, classroom scenario that I could actually think of. So very nice.
Those Keurigs are a lifesaver, right? I mean, it's those pods. I know they add trash to the environment, which is not so good, but man, just to have that fresh cup of coffee in your office the moment you get in there, put it in, and boom, you're done. I love it. And you're right. Hopefully, she does have at least a little mini fridge, because during those hot summer months, you don't want hot coffee. You want something like an iced coffee with almond milk or something. But I really
see, that's where you and I differ. I can drink hot coffee when it's 115 degrees.
Oh man, I used to be like that, but I love my iced coffee now. But there's nothing better than a nice warm cup of coffee in the morning. Sitting out on your back porch. I don't know. It's just that's always great.
Sitting on the beach at Lake Tahoe.
Oh, that too.
Watching the sunrise.
Yeah, is that one of Jacob Carr's paintings in the background?
It might be. He may have drew that. So
I mean, yeah, they're so good. No, okay. So we talked about Jacob's spot. Oh, look, Tyler's watching. Hey, Tyler.
Hey,
Tyler. How you doing? The spaces that are in there. And by the way, we have people working with Macs, people working with PCs, people working with Chromebooks. It's all across the board. Remember, we're doing what we can for our students. And I wanted to mention one more time, Kyle, you are using OBS. Can you tell the group right now a little bit about what OBS is?
Yeah, so it stands for Open Broadcast Software. This is something that gamers typically use for streaming things on Twitch or other social media platforms to play video games and whatnot. So I'm not a gamer myself. You mentioned the esports competition with Super Smash Bros. I have a Switch, but I don't have the Super Smash Bros. I could school you on Luigi's Mansion 3, though. So I really enjoy that game, and I play that with my 5-year-old son quite a bit. But with this OBS software, what it does, that's what makes these backgrounds possible on things like Google Meet. So you're not able to do a background on Google Meet, and Zoom can actually be kind of cumbersome sometimes with the backgrounds. You're supposed to be able to do backgrounds, but sometimes the requirements of your computer doesn't match what Zoom requires, whatever. And then you have to have a solid wall color space for Zoom backgrounds and different things. So ultimately what I just did was this OBS, if you go on, I'm going to have to find the website real quick. I can find that real quick, but while I'm explaining. But what you do is you download this free software, and then what you do with it is obsproject.com. That's where you're going to be able to find this. So you download this software, install on your computer. You install a virtual camera. It's a separate download. And then basically what it does is when you turn on the OBS software, your camera is quote unquote taken over by this virtual camera, which makes this possible. So now it's a little bit complicated going in and setting up the scenes and whatnot, but after a little bit of practice, for me, it took a handful of YouTube videos and a couple of articles to read about it. about an hour and a half's worth of time to really kind of learn the program a little bit. And I was able to start doing some of these backgrounds I have here. One thing I have not done yet is you can actually do looping video for your background as well. So one of the YouTube videos I watched when learning to set up this OBS software, the gentleman that made the video, he had like glass with zombies trying to break through the glass for his background. It was like a looping video, like these zombies like coming at him and whatnot. So I do want to mess around with that video part too, just to see what it's like. But for right now, I really like going to Lake Tahoe whenever I want. I really like going to a baseball game. You know, I love sitting in the office doing my talking head with Stanley back there. And then I also like to promote things every now and then, like our podcast, or my blog, things of that nature. So now, while I prefer OBS and it works great on Windows, you have a program that you like to use where you get to do some very similar things.
Yeah, so I'm using what's called So MMHMM. And it's right now it's only available for Mac. It will be available for PC on October 13th. And it's kind of the same thing, but it's zero learning curve. Zero learning curve. And same stuff. I click and bring up another background at a moment's notice, right? Some limited edition Q gear, right? Some Q flip-flops for flipped classrooms, Q flips. And so just keep bringing them up. But one of my favorite things to do is you can just click and share your screen, right? So if you're doing a Zoom and your students you don't have share power, they can still share their screen. And I love that you can take your face smaller or out all the way through. So it works really well. And it's like I said, zero learning curve to do it. And then if you like Star Wars, you can pretend like you're a Force ghost by changing the color, and you can be like, whoa, right? It's pretty fun to do these things. But again, it's all about your space. It's all about what you're trying to do. It's all about creating an experience for your students. So I would love to learn more about OBS, but this app, just super simple, super simplistic, and it's turn it on and go. Pretty easy.
Very nice.
Yep. Now, Kyle, you're also doing something very special with the state of Nevada, right? The Nevada Department of Education. You're doing a podcast with them. Can you explain to our listeners what that is and what the podcast does?
Absolutely. So, as a resident of the great state of Nevada, the battle-born state, the silver state, whatever you want to call it, shout out to my Q Nevada homies that are out there. So with the State Department of Nevada, Nevada Department of Education, I applied right before COVID hit for what is called the Digital Engineers Cohort. And what that essentially is that it's myself and educators from around the state of Nevada. We're putting together a lot of different items like podcasts and webinars and one-pagers and infographics, all sorts of different things to try to promote digital learning across the state of Nevada and help Nevada teachers with some of these things, especially now with so many schools in distance or hybrid learning. Digital learning is just that much more important at this point. So when I was accepted into this cohort, the Digital Learning Collaborative, I was assigned to the marketing and collaboration or communication team. And naturally, as the co-host of not one, but two podcasts, that's my natural feeling was to go to that to promote a lot of this stuff. So now I have the podcast by Sons of Technology that I co-host with you. And then my good buddy, Ben Dixon in Reno, he and I do the Beer EDU podcast where we talk with educators from around the world and share a beer while we talk about education. But now I also am co-hosting with Maggie Cox. We're doing the Battleborn Digital Learning podcast in collaboration with the Nevada Department of Education.
That's amazing. And Kyle, I just love, you literally using your voice to push forward just innovation and capacity for teachers to utilize technology effectively and efficiently within the classroom, because it doesn't matter how great your space is if you don't have the technology skills of the apps to back it up. It's just empty space, right?
Right. And well, and you don't have to be a teacher in Nevada to take advantage of these great items that my colleagues are putting together. We have a website, the nvdigitallearning.org. If you go there, you can find all sorts of things that my colleagues are putting together. And then you can even sign up to where you can get an email notification when new stuff is posted. So there are literally dozens of things being posted every month. And then I'm doing the podcast with Maggie, and then I have other colleagues that are doing Twitter chats and YouTube tutorials and different things. So yeah, nvdigitallearning.org. Check it out. And even if you're not a Nevada educator, check that out and take advantage of some of the great stuff that's being put out by the cohort.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Kyle, for that information. Thank you for telling us about OBS, and thank you for being my co-host here to showcase Danessa and Jacob's spaces. And I hope, Kyle, that you will record your space and we'll feature your video on a future podcast. Again, if you're watching this and you're listening to this, or you know somebody who has an amazing space to share, tell them to go to what that says right down there at the bottom and go to flipgrid.com/Q Inc. That's flipgrid.com/CUEINC. Record your space, and we will be able to feature you on a future episode of Spaced. Kyle, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for those who are watching this live on Facebook and on Twitter. And thank you to those of you who are watching this asynchronously at a later date. Once again, I'm Joe Marquez, Director of Academic Innovation for CUE, and it's been a pleasure learning with you today. Bye, everybody.